Hey folks, hey, sorry about the hum, but that's coming from the inverter. It's running on one of its power cycles. There's the batteries. I need to give you an update. Yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now, giving you an update on what's happening. So, because I set up the solar so that I could run 240 in the bus, supplemented by the generator when I needed to, I thought, well, I might as well start fitting this solar permanently into the ute and get it all done. I've got the solar inverter and I've got this DC-DC battery charger. That's the DC-DC battery charger. I'll show you it in a minute where it is now. I've got the MPPT solar charge controller there. Solar panels are out on the roof there at the moment. It's an overcast day, so it really doesn't matter what I do with them. Charges coming in through the controller into the batteries and then straight out to the inverter. That's all that's hooked up at the moment. So that's what's happening. But what I decided to do is, because I'm taking the back seats out and I'm putting a 100-litre water tank along where the batteries are here, I figured, well, I might as well. At the moment I can't afford to get a weatherproof cover over the tray to put the batteries and the inverter and that sort of stuff in. So I thought, well, I'm not using the back seat, which means I'm not using the back wall of the ute. So I pulled out the back, and what I've done, I'll just get rid of this. Hang on, just give me a second. I'll get rid of I got rid of that backing, the all-weather backing. Got this wonderful blank board across the back here to mount the inverter, mount that solar controller, and I've got the 12-volt controller here. Let me see. Don't go out any wider. That's the back of it. I've mounted it. Looks rough and ready, but it's as solid as it's not going to go anywhere. This is the front plate for it. I'll turn that around. I'll come around here. Hang on. So it's upside down. Let me turn it up the right way. Great camera work, dude. Great camera work. Alright, so I've got the King's big 12-volt controller. It has the two Anderson plugs. You can have an output. This one is going to be an input from another solar panel that I have. It will wire into this Thunder DC-DC charger. It all gets wired up through the back here, which is piece of piss, really easy to do. All this thing comes pre-fused with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toggle switches. So these are switch on and off, so you can have lights, like outside lights, permanently wired to it. You could have, say, an air compressor, little 12-volt air compressor that might be mounted on the tray or something, or underneath the car. You can have that switch to power that, whatever you want to do with them. There's also 3 12-volt cigarette sockets, and on the end you've got the dual USB in there. So you've got I think it's 2.1 amp and 1 amp 5-volt. What else is? You've got your DC that's coming in through the system on that. This Thunder DC-DC charger will handle up to 300 watts of solar. I believe it has a 12-24-volt input. It's compatible with lithium, lead acid, AGMs, etc., etc. It will. This one, what happens is you hook that up to, one goes to your starter battery, one goes to your set of auxiliary batteries, and it maintains the charge on with the solar when it needs to do it. When the car's running, it uses the alternator until a certain point, then it drops the load off the alternator, and it'll take as much solar as it can before it switches back to the alternator. When you shut the vehicle off, it isolates the main battery, and power that's going through this box will only use the auxiliary batteries, which is very, very cool. Yeah, so what I'm doing is this will go. Let me pause, I'll just screw it on and give you an idea of what it's going to look like. Okay, man, that inverter's working overtime at the moment. The overcast, and I've only got the fridge running on it at the moment. But yeah, anyway, it'll calm itself down soon. Okay, so the 12 volt control box and the DC-DC charger will go there on the passenger side, of course. I will mount the big blue 3000 watt inverter is going to go over here. I don't know which way to face it yet, whether I'm going to have the plugs here on this end, or whether I'll put the 240 volt outlets on that end. I'll still figure that out. So it's got pretty solid mounting points. Fan cooled. If I spin it round the other way, there's never going to be too much load, and it probably won't be used too much other than to run the 240 volt compressor that I've got, and the welder if it's going to handle it. If not, then I'll use the generator to run the welder. Yeah, so anyway, I'm rambling on again. The Kings Plus MPPT solar controller will be mounted here, right next to the 12 volt control box, because I'm thinking I'll run the wires from the controller instead of directly to the battery. I will run them, I may just leave them running directly to the battery, let it run independently of the 12 volt control box. The Thunder should handle all of that. We'll see what happens anyway. I'll wire something in there. The dual battery, so it really doesn't matter. I can wire it through that way, or just keep them direct on there. The batteries run into the Kings. The battery in the car runs into the control box as well. So everything's controlled inside there. And with the Thunder and with the MPPT, yeah, and the batteries, and at some point I may well buy another 2 batteries, because I want to have a system that once it's charged I can go, maybe a day or more without full sunlight. And with the generator backup, if it does start to sort of fade, I've got a 240 volt battery charger, so I can run the generator and charge the batteries and do it that way. We'll see what happens anyway. But yeah, that's what I've got to now. I'm actually outside doing stuff, and what I'll do is when I've got everything else mounted, because I'm only using the phone, I can't sort of put mount my phone anywhere and record what I'm doing, so I'm just doing it. But the observant people will notice that I've used self-tapping roofing screws. See if that'll focus. Come on now, focus. Doesn't want to. Okay. Yeah, I use self-tapping roofing screws to put them in. It was easier considering I don't have that many screws and stuff. They do have mounting screws that came with it, but I think those screws are a more solid option. They're little short mounting roofing screws. The main frame of the 12 volt box mounts, it's got one screw that fits one of these threads here, these these little threads. So I've got one mounting screw in the centre of the box there, and then I've got 4 roofing screws going through the back to keep it mounted. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, and if it does rattle, then I'll upgrade and I'll put nuts and bolts and spring washers and stuff like that on it. But I don't think it's going to need it. I'll definitely be doing something a little bit more robust with this because the inverter's quite heavy and it's got to sit up here, so I'll do that. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing today. And the panel that will be coming through the Thunder is this one here. Hang on. It's a big 220 watt, and when I measured it in full sun, I think it was a 36 volt panel. This one was given to me by someone. It's a heavy. Oh, hang on. It's a heavy bugger. For the boffins that know what they're doing and talking about, I'll see if I can focus in on this. There we go. I'll give you an idea. 225 watt. I think it's got 7.5 max amps. 29 volts. So yeah, well I'll hook that up to that DC charger, and it'll run those 2 panels. Whoop. Unlock focus, thank you. It's not going to focus for me now.